Unhinged. That's the title of a new explosive book out by former reality star and now fired White House advisor Omaroso Newman. The book is out today, and President Trump responded, calling his former advisor a dog on Twitter. John Schumo has the full story. John, what do you got?
Bill, I happened to catch a glimpse of Omarosa early Tuesday morning in Manhattan. Big entourage, big smile. That was before President Trump called her a dog. Here's what prompted the schoolyard name calling. As you know, Omarosa Manigault Newman is on a publicity tour to promote that new book. To back up her claims of racism and sexism, she's releasing recordings that she secretly took during her time at the White House. Well, on the latest tape, Omarosa and two campaign staffers are discussing what to do if someone leaked an audio tape that may or may not exist of the president using the N word on the set of The Apprentice years ago. Well, it appears the release of a third recording in 3 days really set the president off. He tweeted, "When you give a crazed, crying lowlife a break and give her a job at the White House, I guess it just didn't work out. Good work by General Kelly, quickly firing that dog." As you know, Mr. Trump is well known for demeaning people who he doesn't agree with. He also did it Monday night at a fundraiser in upstate New York. Then he called Senator Kirsten Gillibrand a puppet of Senator Chuck Schumer and asked if she's ever gotten anything done while in office. Well, Senator Gillibrand took that comment as sexist and responded on Twitter. The president refuses to acknowledge the work that I've gotten done. Sound familiar, ladies? The president also begged Governor Cuomo to run for president in 2020.
Now, he called me and he said, "I'll never run for president against you," but maybe he wants to. Oh, please do it. Please. Please. The one thing we know, and they do say, anybody that runs against Trump suffers.
Will voters reject or embrace the president's combative style in 2020? We'll find out. The story, Bill. Back.
Thank you, John. Okay, let's bring in a political expert. He is the director of the Monmouth University Poll. Patrick Murray joins me now. Patrick, welcome back to Chasing News. How are you?
Hey, good to see you, Bill.
I want to talk about the impact of the president's combative attitude and behavior on Twitter. And he went right after Omaroso, calling her a dog. The way I see it, this isn't much different than during the campaign. He talked about walking down Fifth Avenue. I could shoot somebody, it wouldn't lose a supporter. Have you seen a change, and how, or is this been consistent, and how does it impact polling numbers?
There's been no change whatsoever. And I think it's funny how the media kind of plays everything, all this stuff up every time he does something like this. And there's polls out there that show a majority of Americans, including a majority of Republicans, thinks he tweets too much, thinks what he tweets is inappropriate. And then we asked him the question, are you surprised by any of this? And actually, Monmouth just did this in poll nationally just a few months ago. 79% told us they're not at all surprised by his behavior. They don't know what people are making a fuss about. They knew that this was what they were getting. Even Republicans who are uncomfortable with it and wish he would stop it, knew that this was part of his personality. So it's not surprising when we look at his job approval rating. It's over the past 6 months, it's ranged from 40% to 44% in the polls. It just doesn't move that much. These things just really just go right off the back of voters across the country.
Everything's a knee-jerk reaction with him. It's like what I expect out of my 7 or 8 year old.
I have to say I do like President Trump. I think maybe sometimes what he says, it just, no filter comes right out. But I do support him and I do like him.
I just think it's a terrible thing. It's disgraceful, actually, because of the language that he uses.
Patrick, have things changed in your view? You've been doing this a long time. We used to have the conversation about which candidate would you want to have a beer with? Who's got the likability factor? It seems that Trump doesn't do well on any of those polls, but when you look at black unemployment, Hispanic unemployment, you look at the discussion of the economy, tax cuts, North Korea, there seems to be a sense of accomplishment out there that goes beyond personality. Are you seeing that?
Yeah, I'm not sure what it is. I think that the real issue, when we look at all those metrics, is that they feel that Donald Trump is shaking up the system. And while they don't feel that they've gotten everything that they want, because there's still kind of a lot of angst out there, worry about the economy and how that affects people at their own kitchen table, but they feel that an establishment politician would be worse than Donald Trump. And that's why I think he's retaining his support right there. At least he's still shaking up the system.
Good old hatred of politics as usual. That's
Exactly.
it. Right? Thank you, Patrick. Good to talk to you. All right, let's bring in our A-plus panel for tonight's show. Republican strategist Jeanette Hoffman back with us. Great to see you, Jeanette. And Democratic strategist and attorney Bill Caruso back with us. Jeanette, I'm going to start with you. President of the United States calls out a former fired aide a dog. Part of me feels like, why give her the credit? You're only helping her book sales. On the other side, it seems you heard Patrick Murray. Nothing has really changed since Donald Trump was a candidate.
No, not at all. This is who he is, right? It's like when you get annoyed at your spouse for something in their personality. Well, you always knew that about them. You knew that when they were dating. You're not going to change them now. Same thing with President Trump. People knew this is who they elected, this is who they married, and this is who they're going to get.
I just think all of this is a distraction. I mean, as a Democrat, I can tell you there's a lot of policy issues that we have as Democrats that are in opposition to this president. I think we can focus on those on the merits. Focusing on Omarosa, I mean, is a disaster and a joke. And from a party perspective, we need to abandon this nonsense and focus on the midterms and then focus on the presidential election.
Jeanette, do you think Republican minds have changed over time?
Yeah, I think especially for Republican voters who weren't necessarily with him in 2016, they're looking at the economy and they're looking at some of the real results and they're getting on board with President Trump, even if they don't like all of his rhetoric.
Who's in charge of the Democratic Party right now? Who leads the opposition? Is it Omarosa?
Absolutely not. And if it is, we're in a lot of trouble. I think that is the biggest problem for the Democratic Party right now.
Okay, gotta leave it there, guys. Thank you.